Hey fellow real estate investors, Rentometer recently came out with an API that you could utilize in order to get rent information for a property at your fingertips. In this video, I'm going to show you how to extract that data with Python. My name is Ariel Herrera with the AnalyticsAriel channel. We bridge the gap between real estate and technology. I love data and being able to set up systems for automation to make your job as an investor a lot easier. This is the kind of content that you enjoy. Please subscribe as well. Follow us on social media. All right, let's get started. Right now on Rentometer's website and on their homepage, you're able to enter in an address and then get back information on what the rent should be. They look at comparables, so other properties in the area that have recently been rented out, so that you could quickly assess what rent should be for, and then you can go a step further to see, is this a property you should invest in based on what the cash flow looks like? Or maybe it's already a property you own and you want to see if you can actually increase rents to increase your cash flow. All right, so if I go over to Realtor, we could see if I'm looking at Tampa, Florida, there's a property here. I'm going to copy the address, place it right in here. And this address was a 3-bed, 2-bath. So I'd be able to select 3-bed, bath, 1.5 or more, analyze, and then I'd be able to quickly get information on what the average, so the mean rent is in the area, the median, and I can get a gauge as to whether I should rent out this property, if I should purchase a property, or if I should increase my rents and what that value should be. So how do we actually get this programmatically? Well, first off, Mike Lapsley, the president of Rentometer, actually posted a really useful video on how to utilize their API. This video is going to be a little bit more in detail because I want to show you how to do it with Python for you. You're a little bit more on the technical side. In order to use this API, you do need to be able to have a Rentometer Pro account, and it's pretty fairly priced, gives you access to credits. And just so that we're on the same page, once you're able to actually utilize this API, you no longer have to enter in an address manually one by one, because that's going to be very time consuming and not allow you to really make a system. You want to be able to either assess rents for a list of properties or as properties are coming in. So by doing that with an API, you programmatically interface with Rentometer's technology and are able to get that information simply, say, into an Excel sheet. So once you're able to get your Rentometer Pro account, you're going to be able to see more information on the actual API itself. So in the developer API section, it has information here on what you need to input. So you need to be able to input an API key, address, or latitude and longitude of the property. You can also get more granular by specifying what the bedrooms and baths are, as well as the type of property, if it's a house, apartment, so on, as well as how far back you want to look. So for example, in this really hot market that we're in, that rents have really dramatically increased in certain areas, you might not want to look back a full year. So here you can be more flexible and maybe select that to only be 90 days, for example. Also be mindful of seasonality. You may see higher rents in the summertime than the winter time because less people are moving in the winter. So there's less demand. And as we could see here on the right side, we get a lot of rich information. We're able to see the mean, median, min, and max come through as a response once we actually query against the API. We also get information on the percentile, 25, 75 percentile, standard deviation, radius miles, so how far Rentometer looked for other properties, how many samples were used, and so on. So we want to be able to get this data with Python. So when I first started this search of how to do this, I didn't see if there's an option for Python here, but I did find this really neat site where if you copy this curl code and you bring it over to curl converter, you can paste it in and quickly be able to see what the code is in Python. So we could see here in Python, we need to have a library for requests to be able to request the data. We have a URL here, which is going to be API version 1 summary, so we can get that mean, median, min, and max rent. And then we have parameters, which are specified up here. So now let's go through that with some code. Right now I'm on Google Colab. It's a notebook setting, so say if you know nothing about Python and you don't have Python locally installed, that's perfectly fine. All you would have to do is actually just have a Google account, which is free, copy this notebook, also free, and then have your own API key that you could plug in. So going down, I'm going to walk you through this notebook, which the link is in the show notes below. For imports, I have up here some libraries that we need to be able to have the available functions for. So one of them, this is very specific to Google Colab, is Google Colab Drive and Files. This is going to allow us to get our API key from a file and also output this data in the end into an Excel file that we could download. Now, next thing I'm doing here, I'm going to run this actually using Shift-Enter. And the next step is I have a function that I'm going to touch in the next video. That's going to really help when you're looking at multiple properties. In the locals and constants section, we want to mount the drive, and this is specific for if you want to pull your API key from another file, which is a little bit more safe since your API key, you want it to be private. If you want to skip this step, you could simply comment this out, go down to where the Rentometer API key is, and just place your API key there within string format. So right now I'm going to run these two cells. It's going to ask me, can I connect my Google Drive account? I'm going to allow it. And now this notebook is going to be able to read all of my files within Google Drive so that it could see where I have my API key, which is in a CSV file. So I run that. My API key is now loaded into this variable called Rentometer API key. Pretty simple. Now for the fun stuff. So what I did over here was I copied over this code and I placed it within this cell. So I have the base URL, which is going to be Rentometer, the summary, because remember what we want to do is when we're following the API docs, we basically want to hit this URL, enter in our address, and get back this subsequent information. Now I also am just using their example address for right now that they had within the developer docs. So that's 15 Broad Street, Boston, Massachusetts. I have that within strings. That property has 2 bedrooms. And the way Rentometer's API works is that whenever it's above 1 bathroom, you don't actually specify 2, 3, 4, etc. You just put 1.5 plus. Then for building type, it's going to be house. And if we go back to the API docs, we could actually see what the options are, which says apartment or house. And it also specifies for look back days what the default is and what the maximum you can go back. So it looks like the maximum you could go back is a 4-year time frame. Great. So now if I run this, I am going to get a response back. So I'm basically asking the API, I'm sending it information, and I'm now receiving information back. And this is in a text format, but it's not as friendly to read. So in this line of code, I'm transforming this into JSON, which is basically key value pairs. So we have here address, the address that I sent in, and when we skip down a little bit more, we see here that we have information now on the max, mean, and median. So this is awesome so far, but how can we get this even more simple to read? Well, if we go down and run this, what I just did is I used pandas. Pandas is a library in Python, which basically puts things in tabular formats like Excel, so rows and columns. And what I've done here is normalize this JSON variable that we have. And now we could see all of our columns here. So address, latitude, longitude, and the information that's interesting, which is the mean, median, min, and max for rent. Now, if we want to be able to get this back, so that we could view it in an Excel file, all we have to do is run this code, which is specific to Google Colab and allows us to download the file. And now we can work with it in Excel. So say if you were looking to add additional formulas, calculations like cash flow or so on, you'd be able to do that now all in Excel. However, it is more useful if you could just do it in Python with only a few lines of code. So that was a simple tutorial on how you're able to use Rentometer's API to get rental information using Python. In the next video, I'm going to show you in more depth how you can actually look at multiple properties and be able to extract that information in seconds. If you haven't followed me already, please do. Thanks.